Growing luminous on the mystic on the mystic path. We create our own light, and at first we struggle, blind and baffled, seeing nothing, hearing nothing, unable to think, unable to imagine. We seem deserted by dream, vision, or inspiration, and our meditation barren altogether. But let us persist through weeks and months, and sooner or later that stupor disappears. Our faculties readjust themselves and do the work we will them to do. Never did they do their work so well. The dark caverns of the brain begin to grow luminous. We are creating our own light. George William Russell.
Thank you so much, Mary. Welcome everyone to Gems from the Wisdom Traditions, a conversation circle here at Still and Moving Center, in which today's topic is the way of the child, who I think in many ways brings so much light to our world. So the ending line of the quote Mary read to us from the back of the Still and Moving Center Almanac seems very relevant. I wanted to also read the quote for this week of the way of the child. And then just tell you a little personal story from my life before introducing our speaker. And so the quote for the week is someone named Catherine Ripplinger Fenwick. Your body cannot heal without play. Your mind cannot heal without laughter. Your soul cannot heal without joy. And I had the opportunity in my 50s of learning how to play again. And it was with the founder, one of the co-founders of the NIA technique, which I teach. It's a movement practice. And I just had the opportunity for an hour to be in full free play across the floor, just rolling and frolicking. And he led it, and it inspired me to my very core. And I found myself doing things, you know, these fun things that my body hadn't maybe ever done, and certainly had not done since childhood. And the upshot of it was that it transformed my teaching, and it actually just really changed a lot of things about my life. I think my brain rewired, or my soul rewired, or something happened. And as a result, well, first of all, I began having all of these waking sensations of being on the playground again. I'd just be doing something, and all of a sudden I would have this really vivid memory of being on a swing set, or climbing up over the monkey bars, or whatever it was. And then that followed with a reigniting of creativity. And I began to write in ways I'd never been able to write. I took painting workshops and found out I was able to a little bit paint, and I was fearless about it in any case. And I think just having that experience of play opening me up to so many more possibilities and so much more happiness taught me a lot about the way of the child. And someone who has played with me a lot on the NIA floor is Sheena Lumsden, who's our presenter for today. Sheena has been a really integral part of Still and Moving Center for many years, seems like about a decade. And she has been in plays of ours. She's played many different parts in our reenactment of the Indian epic, the Ramayana. And she's going to speak to us today from the tradition of education, and in particular, Waldorf education, in which she is really highly skilled and practiced. So I'm going to hand it over to Regina, and we'll let you take it away, Regina. Welcome to both Marianne and Roger joining us. We're so glad to see you too.
Yeah, thank you so much, Renee. This is definitely a theme that I love. It's very much in my heart. So thank you for the possibility of sharing this experience with all of you. The way of the child is something that has been part of my life for many years. I am a movement teacher. My degree is in physical education. And I was in Brazil still, and I was a physical education teacher. And I was not very happy with what I was doing. I love working with children. I always enjoy being with children, but somehow something was missing there. And then I actually went to see a class that my nieces were taking in Waldorf school. And when I watched the class, then later I could do the class for adults right away. And I was like, sign me up. How can I learn this? It's a movement class called Eurythmy. And in that class, I was learning about sounds, how there are gestures and forms that are related to sound, the vibration of the sound in our physical body, and also how walking and moving geometrical forms do affect our body a lot. So the way of the child is something that as an adult, I began to discover as I went through the training for Waldorf education. And in a way, very similar to Renee, it wakes up the creativity in a beautiful way that I didn't experience before. And so Waldorf education was founded by Rudolf Steiner. He is an Austrian philosopher. The first school, Waldorf school, was opened in Germany, in Stuttgart. And now we have it all over the world. There are trainings to become a Waldorf teacher because it's very holistic. It really gives attention to not just the academic, but also to arts, to movement, and to crafts. So every single subject that the children learn, they will have these components. They learn math by knitting, or clapping. Yeah, so the academic work comes through creating joy and through imagination. Imagination is really the thread of the work because we are threefolded. We think, we feel, and we do. And the whole curriculum, the whole education is based on this. So how can we integrate that in the work that we do with the children so they don't learn just, dry math, 1 + 1 is 2, but that when they do a clapping game, for example, and learn that 1 + 1 is 2, so 1 + 1 is 2, 2 + 2 is 4. That affects the memory, the long-term memory, and it's not an abstract information anymore because their whole body is engaged, their soul is engaged, and there is joy rather than sitting down. And of course, they do the working paper as well. Yeah. So my part, which is the movement, I had to relearn, first I had to relearn how to move. We do specific exercises to really feel in our bodies what it is to move in alignment to cosmic movement of the planets. So we can feel that in our muscles, we can feel that in our bones. So when we go out to teach, we have that incorporated in our system in a very deep way. So when I go to teach the children, then it's part of my own system, my own body, my own soul, the experience that I had, I can transfer to them. Yeah. Well, as let's say, for example, as a movement teacher, if I am going to teach gymnastics, so instead of teaching them the skills, let's do cartwheel or do forward roll or balance beam and so on, we engage their imagination. And that is where they find their joy. And that's where it's the little seed for creativity as they become adults. So how do we engage that imagination? I would say, all right, we are in this beautiful green forest, lots of trees all around, a beautiful river. Can you hear the river? I can hear it. It's so beautiful. It's so loud. And now we are going to roll down the hill. We're going to get close to the river and we are going to walk this narrow bridge step by step. And you can even touch the water as we go down that little bridge. And then, oh my God, there is a spider. And the spider is a cartwheel. So when we engage their creativity, eventually they are the whole time being moved by that imagination. It's not about skills when we introduce them to movement. Eventually, when they get older, yes, we are going to go into the skills, but because the seed of imagination was there, then even when we touch the skills, they are still in their picture. So the spider that is a cartwheel is just pointing her toes, streaming out to the sky as she goes upside down. Yeah. So that is a way of engaging the child imagination. And as an adult, we can really benefit from that, because that imagination is the thread that connects mind, heart, and action. Because if we educate the children just the academic information, it will be not really penetrating them in a deep way. The education itself is really coming from the perspective that we are spiritual beings coming into this physical world, and every single subject will give attention to that and how it works in their parasympathetic nerve system, how it works in their long-term memory. So it's something that really spoke to me and really fulfilled that gap that I was feeling when I was a physical education teacher. And I was getting tired of just working on skills. Something was missing. So this really answered for my questions, my quest of what I'm here for. So I worked at Waldorf School here in Honolulu for many years, probably almost, definitely more than 15 years. I've done a couple of trainings in England. They didn't have the training in Brazil. So I went to England to do a training called Eurythmy and Spatial Dynamics. And they are both movement trainings for the Waldorf curriculum, which is very different. It's non-competitive. So joy is part of their playing time, their movement time. Yeah. And one thing that I would like to read for you is, let me find it here. What Rudolf Steiner said about imagination, that it's not fantasy. It's very different, fantasy and imagination. And imagination is just not just a phase of childhood. It is the seed of creativity, morality, health, and even future spiritual perception. So maybe we can open to discussion. I don't want to go, there is a reason why it is helping with creativity, morality, and so on. But maybe we open up so we can bring everybody's experience.
Oh, you're allowed to go a little longer than this. Hey,
I am. Okay,
Yeah.
what if we move? I'd love to move now, and then we can close as well. I would like to share a little bit of what the eurythmy is, which is playing with sounds. And we are going to speak, I'm going to speak a little verse, and then we do the gestures for it. Sounds good? Okay. So,
They don't need much room.
no, we're just going to stand for now.
Okay.
And I'm going to just say the little poem. You can close your eyes and listen to it. And then I'm going to bring the gestures for it. Okay?
Okay.
In beauty before me, I walk. In beauty behind me, I walk. In beauty all around me, I walk. And we are going to add a few gestures. So this gesture, like if we're holding a baby, it's the gesture for the letter B. So it's B. B. We gather from outside and create a little pillar. Yeah? There is another gesture for the letter W, which is like a wave right here. So it's like a wave moving forward. Like a wave moving forward. You go all the way down and the wave moves back towards you. Nice. So all the way down and moving back towards you. Last time. Wave. Moving back towards you. And then the last gesture that we are going to do is the letter L, which is like we gather from the earth, bring all that wisdom of the earth and make a rainbow around us. Yeah? So gather from the earth and all around us. One more time, gather from the earth and bring it all around, like the light, the rainbow around us. Nice. Okay, so we are going to combine the verse and the gesture. Okay? And it goes like this. In beauty before me, I walk. In beauty behind me, I walk. In beauty all around me, I walk. And we're going to do it one more time and really see it every single word. Even if you forget about the gesture, it doesn't matter. But really see every single word that you hear, okay? And in beauty, before me, I walk. In beauty, behind me, I walk. In beauty, all around me, I walk. Nice. Beautiful. So this is a little taste of the movement as a source of imagination that the children do every day. So from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock in school, in many different ways, they are engaging their imagination. And this is what we have done is very specific for the movement classes.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Regina.
You're welcome.
Is there anything about the alignment and spatial dynamics that you feel is important in terms of the way of the child?
Yes, very, very much. The alignment is putting together the spatial dynamics and the eurythmy, which are the two trainings that I have done for Waldorf. And what it does is we have, as adults, we many times miss the opportunity to experience that alignment where we are creating a connection in between our thinking, our feeling, and our will or our action. And also that as we do the movement, we are really allowing not just the physical to go in alignment, but we are also working with our energy body, our emotional body, and our mind body. So our spirit self can be more present in each of these layers. And I'm saying layers, it's not exactly that, but it's just part of who we are. And when we do align, we can really create the alignment in between physical, emotional, mental, spiritual.
And can you do one really simple exercise of that for us?
Yes,
And if it's sided, can you make sure to do both sides?
yes.
Okay.
So this particular exercise, it has been many times recommended for, it has a therapeutic aspect too. And many times it was recommended for when you are struggling with breathing. So it helps opening up and finding the flow for that. Okay.
Okay.
We are going to have our feet together and the arms just next to our bodies. And the feet together is just like the near feet together. Our toes are touching, but our heels are slightly apart. And our pinky is touching our leg. And then from the fingers, we're going to open up and back again. Open up and back again. And this time we open, turn our hands up all the way, create a parallel line and back. Turn your hands down and one more time. We open and down And every time that you open, you can go a little bit swinging between your toes, back to your heels. Go to your toes, back to your heels. And this time we're going to open up, turn our hands up, go all the way, creating a parallel line. Open. Turn all the way down. And down. Okay. Do you want to do another one? I don't know if we have time.
I'd love to.
Okay. This one I have to bring the, there we go. Okay, so we are going to go to our right side. We are going to point our hand, take a step to the right side, and then make a rainbow over your head. And then you start bringing your left side hand to touch both. And there is this little stretch that you are going to experience. And then take a step to have your feet together and open the rainbow above you. We're going to our left side. Left hand. Take a step to the left side. Draw that rainbow above your head. When it's above your head, the other arm is going to meet the left arm. And just feel the stretch on your left side. Bring the feet together. And rainbow above your head.
Here for massage.
Yeah, so that's just a little taste. Both of them are used for helping with breathing, because when we do them several times, you can feel a difference on how you're breathing. The second one is very based on, inspired by the movement of the planets. Like one planet has a motion that is much faster than the other planet. And we had to do drawings about the motion of the planets and so on. So, yeah.
How many people here, show of hands, have seen that movie, Meetings with Remarkable Men? And it's based on the life of, Carolyn, your hand was up. What was the name of that? He's probably about the time of Rudolf Steiner.
Steiner, he was from 1895 to 1925, I think.
So this was a matter of somebody who was visiting all these different mystery schools around the world. And when he got to the Sufi mystic school, he observed people doing these movements that had to do with the movements of the planets and the suns. It was a really very memorable scene for me. So I recommend that movie to anybody. It's very deep, and I'll get the name of the real person that the story was based after. But it something about mirroring, the movement of the heavens does seem to be something that would excite the imagination of a child and also reach to a deeper level within the being.
And the exercises, they are designed in a way that we use them according to their age. So according to how they are coming into their physicality, then there are certain exercises that we use for when they are 12 years old or when they are 17 years old. because physiologically a lot of changes happen. So every single exercise has a purpose for the child development. And then for adults, it can be to support breathing, it can be to help with anxiety, different purposes.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Meetings with Remarkable Men, folks, is based on a book written by the Greek Armenian spiritual teacher, Gurdjieff. Yeah. Okay, well, so let's go into this way of the child a little bit and see what comments and suggestions that people have. They can be questions for the whole group or about Waldorf. I just want to make it, a conversation really open to everyone. I think we all really enjoyed doing that movement with you, Haitiana. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Renee,
Caroline.
I was interested in the program today because last summer I went to Bhutan and I went to a 5-day program on reimagining education through the perspective of gross national happiness. And I thought it was very interesting that, in fact, the school we visited, somewhat like Montessori, it was called Education for Lifelong Citizenship. And one of the foundations of their program, which I have been working on to put some things into Hawaii to make it aloha instead of gross national happiness, is mindfulness. Do they do that at Montessori? Do they have the kids try to center and get control of their emotions and that sort of thing before they start classes? Because I thought that was a really good idea and something I've been trying to get started in a lot of ways here.
I don't know about Montessori at Waldorf.
I meant Waldorf, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Waldorf, their very first half an hour of the day, they are either playing music, because the work with breathing, normally the first instrument that they play is a recorder, because the recorder is very helpful for working with their breathing. So they either start playing an instrument through the morning for the first half an hour, or there are form drawings that they draw. And those form drawings, again, both music and the form drawings really help them to be in that parasympathetic nervous system, to breathe. So breathing is something very, very important. It's not clearly talked about as it is in yoga, for example, but definitely the breathing is very, very much part of the curriculum. So they start the day either playing music or drawing. And it's a very rhythmical, repetitive form of drawing. They can be very complex as they get older, but definitely very meditative.
Thank you. That's very interesting.
Honestly, there is a lot. It's very, very deep, and I'm trying to cut down to keep it as simple as possible.
And maybe as people ask questions, you'll bring out the parts that seem relevant to everybody. Okay, great.
I have a
Marianne?
quick, yeah. Thank you so much. How beautiful the practice was, and to understand more about such a profound teaching that is so different than what I grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I believe, I know that I was trying and struggling with all these other modalities of math and arithmetic, math and I can't even, grammar and everything. When I could have just been closer to the earth, it would have been great. But I have a question about the experience of the fascination that you had with imagination and how it really can be accessed in a number of our practices, whether it's in in our writing or in our food creations. And if you've experienced how your own imagination has been liberated through becoming a movement facilitator, and what you can teach us about accessing the imagination component that you've spoken about in the movement and the training and the vibration of this practice.
Renee's class was fantastic on this last Friday. She worked with imagination from beginning to end in her class, Nia class. So basically, for instance, and it's hard because we are here, a group of adults, but if you see how the children respond to imagination. So imagine instead of learning the alphabet, they are going to see this beautiful drawing of a mountain, and they are going to hear stories about the mountain, and then later that's going to become the letter M. Yeah. So that process of imagination, when they get into this abstract picture of the letter M, the image of the letter is always going to be there, and that's where creativity comes. And the children, they are excited because it's not in a way boring abstract things that you just don't know where they are coming from. They come from somewhere real. Yeah. And so when we on Friday, when Renee taught her Nia class, and the theme was way of the child, and she chose elephant as the focus, or the theme that she wanted to focus on was the elephant. And the whole time we were either moving the elephant trunk or the elephant ears. And so when we do that as adult, then we are really opening that door that kind of got closed after we turned 5 years old. And that's why in Waldorf, fairy tales, so many things that the children are exposed to keep that imagination active. And most of us end up missing that, losing that as we go through our adulthood. But it doesn't mean that we cannot recover. So, for instance, when we read a fairy tale, for example, Cinderella, instead of putting the children to watch the movie and say, oh, Cinderella has the hair like this, or her castle looks like that, we just read the story, and they are creating their own Cinderella. And then they write about Cinderella, and then they draw their Cinderella. And then there are no books in the school. Each child has their own book, and each story is written in a different way. So they're being creative, and each drawing is completely different. So that's their imagination putting into the book that they created. And I think as adults, we can do that. We can write something, and then as we are writing, we start seeing the images that we are writing. And that's how we start developing that capacity again. I don't know if I answer, but that's
Just thank you, Regina. That's interesting that the individual becomes the storyteller, and rather than reciting something else. I'm going to play with that. That's a really good challenge for me to look at. Thank you.
It's beautiful because if we look at the classroom, after the children create their own books, let's say about Greek history, they create their drawings, they write about what they learned about Greek history, and then you walk into the classroom and it's so inspiring because you see they are all truthful and they are all different. Yeah. But it's each of them has the truth with them. Yeah. So it's I tell you that it's a very rewarding experience to be part of children developing in that way.
You know, for me, if I could add in here, Mariange, once I learned how to play again, I had been a drama teacher for a long time, and I had mostly worked with children. And my drama direction really consisted a lot of staging, where who should be when at what times, and a choreography, because we would usually end up doing musicals of some sort. However, in terms of my knowing how to bring a character out for somebody who I really didn't know how to do that. And for some reason, once I started playing again, and so I imagine that sometimes when I know this happens in other schools, when you hear a story, you don't just draw about it, you don't just write about it, you actually get a chance to enact it. Somehow my being able to play, it freed me up to pretend to be, you know, a scary monster, or and not be worried about that's not very mature or whatever. And so it gave me a lot more ability as a drama director to really start bringing out these characters from a place of what is it like to be inside. I think that's where the imagination was coming in for me. Like, what is it like to be inside somebody else's shoes, somebody else's experience? And how would I feel? And what would be happening in my hands and my face and my back and my feet? I was having that experience. And so I think it was very enriching, not just from the standpoint of being a drama director, but from the standpoint of how I live my life. I think I can imagine a little bit better, this walking in somebody else's moccasins, just from being willing to go there in a childlike way. You know how they go, okay, you're the teacher, I'm the student. Okay. Okay, trade. I'm the grandma, you're the little baby. Trade. They do that all the time in their play, and we can do that too, and it's really enriching. Before I call on Deshawn and Jade, I'm gonna call on Carolyn, whose hand I saw up and I missed. Carolyn, do you still have your question there or comment? And if you could unmute. We can't quite hear you yet. It's that silly little button on the lower left.
Okay, I read the paragraphs on the front page very quickly, but wasn't there a reference to sound in this process that she's teaching us? And so what is your view on sound? It seemed like sound was very essential to the children to be responsive to early on, more than words and all the rest. Do you have any comments about the importance or the type of sound that you're thinking of?
Yes. So I forgot the name of that Japanese scientist. The water crystals that are formed according to sound. Yeah. So in the eurythmy, there are gestures, specific angles that we go with our arms and that we walk, and they are related to music sound. And they are very similar to that. The idea is very similar to the crystals that are formed in water. I completely forgot the name of that scientist. But Caroline, do you know who I'm talking about?
Not quite.
The one in the
Dr.
movie,
Emoto.
Y-
Emoto.
Yes.
the movie and what the something or other.
What the bleep do we know, Dr. Emoto?
Yes, what the bleep do we know?
Yes.
Mhm.
The gestures that we have done today, they are based on as we speak, like I spoke a little poem and we made gestures related to those sounds. And as we speak, our speech organ goes into different shapes. And the gestures that we are doing are related to those shapes that are created in our mouth. Our whole speech organ, our throat. So let's say the vowel ah, normally it's ah. This is the gesture, ah. The vowel e, the gesture is e, e. It's a no. The e has that qualities because when we speak, we can feel a little bit with the vowels. It's a little easier to feel that. So it's ah, it's more open here. When I say e, it's a little bit more sharp on my speech organ. So it's the sound that creates separation, boundaries. Yeah. So if a child is oversensitive to their environment, for example, somebody's close to a child and he's just oversensitive to everything, to sound and so on. So as we do the exercises, I would include more is for that child. Yeah. If a child is more introvert, then we go, ah, ah. So we are learning a lot of a very deep way of child development from an incarnating perspective and balancing what is out of balance with sound, with movement, with music. So certain instruments are chosen for a child that might not be chosen for another child. Yeah.
So this is a way of learning, in a way of learning to speak, but in a distinctive way. And they must like that. Do the children like that?
They do because it helps. What it does, it helps them, their memory, long-term memory, in an incredible way. As an example, my daughter who went through Waldorf school, in college, through the whole school, she learned Japanese as a second language. She learned Japanese and Spanish. And when later on she decided to take a Japanese class in college, and she came like, Mom, I remember everything from grade 2. The Japanese class, we were cooking, making sushi, and these are the sounds that we learned. This is how we write. And because all the senses were engaged. And that's how we create a long-term memory. So the sound, what she heard as Japanese music was part of her. Yeah. So sound is definitely something that is very, very strong in the curriculum, either speaking poems, or playing music. They by the end they graduate in grade 12, they learn to play at least 4 different instruments. Start with recorder, they go into violin, actually 3, recorder, violin, and then they choose a third one that will be more in the long term. But definitely sound is part of they in a very strong way, and in different forms.
No,
Very helpful. Thank you.
yeah, it seems very well thought out.
Mm.
Thank you.
Jade?
Mahalo. I love the exercise that you took us through. In beauty before me, I walk, behind me, and all around me. That was beautiful. And it just made me bathe in that beauty. And I thought, oh, what a beautiful mantra. And I love that it's combining imagination with the geometry side, almost sounds like structure a little bit, and a repetition. And I appreciate how you said it gave you purpose, it transformed how you taught. And I was wanting to ask you, how do you feel that if you could share a little bit more about how it transformed your your teaching and your serving, and then also maybe how it seeped into how you serve today in Hawaii, from like from I think you said London to Hawaii, from Brazil, London to Hawaii.
Yes, yeah, a little triangle. Yeah. So what happened is, honestly, I was really, really unhappy as a PE teacher, even though I always liked being with children and teaching children. My first job was being a ballet teacher. I was super young. Um, Definitely movement is part of my life. From recently, I remember that my Japanese grandma was a dancer, and that's how I was introduced to movement. So teaching movement is very much part of my life. But what I was not happy about was, as a PE teacher, first I was just working with skills, teaching skills to the children and leading them into competition. Yeah. And that's great for a certain time, but when you teach so many classes for so many years, it felt a little, okay, I don't know if I can do it for my whole life. When I began to work with Waldorf, just the training itself, and to start expanding, like, okay, this is how the planets move, and this is how it influences when we move. Yeah, so it's completely different. It's like learning where we are coming from, and what we're doing here is connected to where we come from. Yeah. And so teaching after that was really a joy for me, because it was not just me having a lot of joy, we're all having a lot of joy together. Yeah. So for instance, if I was teaching volleyball, instead of starting with the skills, this is what we do, and we do it 300 times, the first way of introducing the idea was a game called Cleaning the Backyard. And we had the volleyball net, and we had a lot of tennis ball in both sides. And when I blow the whistle, the kids get the tennis ball and they throw it over the volleyball net. And then I blow the whistle and we stop and see who managed to clean the yard. Yeah. Or we finish the game when somebody manages to clean the backyard, their backyard. And so when I start like that, and there are many more imaginative games, but when I get to the skills, they have that imagination in their mind. It's actually right here, our little camera. So it's right there, and it's not, it's lifting up something that can become very heavy. Yeah, very, have to do it again. So we are just practicing our skills, and it's different. There is a different quality there. There is joy. There is laughter. Yeah. And I tell you, it's so much fun to work with children like that. It's super exciting.
I had one small fun activity to do for finding out who has their child right now working. So, can anybody guess the word from this diagram? Let's see who finds out this word first. Let's go on. Come on. Speak out loud. Whoever finds the word in this drawing.
Is it just one word?
It is one word.
I
If you are
guess.
muted, you have to unmute yourself. Okay, all right. Second guess. Second guess. Let's
Wait.
guess from
What
this.
about meow?
Wait.
No.
It's
Wrong
Joy.
guess.
Joy.
Wrong, incorrect.
Surrender.
Incorrect. Okay. Well, it's a 5-letter word.
5-letter word.
word.
Solar.
No. You have to look at every element perfectly. It has its meaning.
Flower? What is in the middle?
That's 6 letters. Mountain
Let
to mountains. Walking, he's running from mountain to mountain under the sun.
All right, one more thing. It was said this word was spoken during this presentation.
Nice.
Ah,
Shine.
No. Okay, it was spoken by Roger.
Uh-huh.
Can you find the letters in the picture?
A.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
That's right. There is A, yes.
Alive.
No.
happiness? Happy?
Closer, but no, it's not the word. It's a
Joy?
5-letter word.
Joyful?
5-letter word.
Happy.
Starting
No.
with A. A-H. There's an H there too.
Yes, that's right. You're getting closer. Yes.
Aloha.
Yay, you got it. That's the word.
Hello?
Fantastic.
So it was the two mountains representing two A's. The sun is O, this is the L, and the two birds are the H. So ALOHA.
That's great.
You want to see? What?
Wonderful.
What's my prize? What's my prize?
You get a beautiful heart and love from here.
Okay, I'll take it.
How about a trip to their Qigong class on Tuesday afternoons?
Okay, that'd be nice too.
I'll grant that prize. I can do that.
The rhythmic gestures for aloha at the end.
It was actually inspired from theosophy diagrams. I thought, oh, okay, let's just mix everything up and see what happens.
That's wonderful.
Very fun.
Wild.
Well, I mean, I've been having so much fun. I didn't even realize where the time had gone. I will, let's see. How about if I tell us about next week? Oh, no, but I really want to get okay, I'm going to tell you about next week. I'm going to ask somebody for a vote of thanks for Hejina. And then anybody who can stay on for a couple minutes afterwards, I'll ask for your takeaway. Yeah, but I do want to stay within the closeness of the timing. So next week, we are going to hear about noetic discipline. Noetic comes from the word noesis, and I was inspired to use this word because of the work of Marianja's brother. I can tell you that. And the person who's going to be our presenter next week will be Dr. Randy Wong, who teaches our Tai Chi classes. I don't know exactly the tradition he's going to speak from. It could even be the medical tradition. So we'll see. Is there somebody who would like to give a vote of thanks to Regina for today's presentation?
Can I just share one thing that came to mind? Orion, you asked about imagination as an adult, and Mary is there, and hula. Oh my God, it's a beautiful way of bringing imagination, and it doesn't matter which age it is. It's just a constant practice of imagination.
Mm.
Okay, I'd like to thank Regina for a wonderful experience. And my takeaway is what you said about joy is part of playtime. And really, we need to really cultivate joy in our lives because there's so much garbage going on, but we can control how we react. So, joy and aloha. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Mary. So if anybody needs to sign off, we totally get it. And if you'd like to stay on and give us your takeaway, that'd be lovely. Jade or Dishen, was that a goodbye or a hey, for a
Goodbye, but I
takeaway?
think takeaway is let your inner child run with wilderness, I think with fun and joy.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Mahalo, Regina and Renee. Take care.
Good. Della, it's so nice to see you here. Do you want to give us a little takeaway?
Thank you, Regina. I'm ready for another one of your workshops.
Yes, November.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Uh,
I always remember that you were wanting to do things related to sound, so I always put that in mind.
well, the sound and the movement. And yeah, your workshop is always on the back of my mind, especially now since I'm old and have more difficulty accessing my inner child. Thank you so much.
And how about Bob?
Well, I guess my takeaway is a project that I was working with called History Day, and it's not the Waldorf tradition, but just the idea of imagination in learning history, so that you're putting yourself in the shoes of someone who lived a long time ago, and that kind of empathy part of that. And the saying we have around that is to malama, to take care of, the mo'olelo, the stories, which is also the Hawaiian word for history. History and stories is the same word. And so the kids actually at one point, if they get it, they go back into that and they really become alive because their imagination gets something out of the history. And many of them say, if you don't learn your history, then you're condemned to repeat it. A quote that's over the place. But just recently, I read a wonderful counter quote that said, we have to learn from history so that we can repeat the successes that we find there. And, if you look at history, you can find the side like Rachel Carson and DDT and all that, but you can also find the positive that policies were done, certain things were done. So I just think the imagination is part of all education, even if it's very Western. Anytime you read a book, you can't really read it without imagination. That's just the basis of thinking and learning. So that was my takeaway. But thank you.
Beautiful.
I want to say something to that because Bob is more of a scholar and he was trained, well, regular school the way the rest of us were. But when he was small, he got sick. So he had to spend a lot of time at home. And this is why I think the teachers didn't have a chance to stamp out his imagination because he's so totally imaginative. I mean, God. So I just wanted to put that into context because he's always speaking from an academic tradition, whereas Waldorf, that's like art school. That's like total education. And that's what I believe in, although I never had it. So that's my more 2 cents.
Wonderful. We're so glad. Dustin, and then maybe Kat and Roger.
Yeah, thanks so much, Regina, for that wonderful presentation. I'm just reminded of a scripture that reminds us to have the faith of a little child as being a key to entering heaven or a heavenly state. So, yeah, it's wonderful takeaway to keep that faith and that mind and that heart of a little child. Thank you.
Beautiful. And I think part of it is that faith in their teachers that little children have that, allows them to absorb so much from their teachers. Yeah. So Roger and then Kat.
Yeah, well, thank you, Regina. That was very, very fascinating. And to me, I've been thinking about this a lot, and this just reinforces my thoughts that we're ready for a whole new model for education. And whether we actually get to Waldorf or something else, with the introduction of AI, what's the point of memorizing a whole lot of things? And our whole system is based on a 200-year-old Prussian system of teaching people enough to go to work, but not to think for themselves. And so I think it's wonderful that Waldorf has been there all these years. And my kids went there for a little while, both my girls. And I would just like to see, as we're going through this chaos and kind of negative period, that some of us begin to focus really on what we need to make the world a better place. And I love what I learned in Bhutan, and it really fits in with what you're doing there. And hopefully in Hawaii, we can come up with something that would really be a model in our school systems to how to live aloha. So thank you for showing us the Waldorf way. And I know you're on board with what I'm saying, and who knows where we'll come out.
We sit together and plan some education. It's really, really important. Exactly, especially now. I think it's really important. It doesn't have to be Waldorf, but it's really important that it's not something just intellectual. Balance is essential.
I like that name they had in Bhutan of Education for Lifelong Citizenship.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really terrific if we learned how to be a good citizen and live in a happy and more enlightened kind of way. So let's put our energy there, and who knows what could happen.
Good things.
And Kat? You're muted right now, so I'd love to hear you.
Thanks, Regina, for that presentation. I really appreciate that you've been a practitioner of this for such a long time and that you've been a part of so many children's lives. I think it's so important to teach children how to be in their bodies so that way they learn how to become well-adjusted. So I'm really grateful to you that you've been a part of that journey for so many students in your career.
It seems like it would lead to people being so much more psychologically well-adjusted, doesn't it?
Could definitely use some of that.
Yeah. Hey, Sheena, that was just marvelous. Thank you so much for integrating us into our bodies with the movement practice, as well as the words that you spoke and the imagination that you excited in us. It was marvelous. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Mahalo.
this time together.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha.